Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hometown Cable. Our program, as usual, when you see me, it's called What's Going On Here? I'm Bob Venn, Calvin Castine with the camera, and this young man over here is one of the very important cogs. We're in Mooers, New York, a dragoon, one of the dragoons, and if you're at the fire department, it could be any of them. But which one is it?
Wayne.
Wayne, you are the chief, the new chief?
Yep, the new chief.
How long have you been chief?
Since April of '95.
April of '95. Now, you follow at least 2 generations on that, don't you?
Yes.
Your grandfather?
Grandfather Floyd was chief, and my father, John, he was past chief too.
John? Who is John Dragoon?
You probably know him as Jack.
We better. Okay, John.
I gotta still call him Dad.
You betcha. He taught you this since you were young?
Yep.
And that you fire department? Gary's also a fire...
No.
Not a fireman?
No, Gary's not a fireman.
Well, so you were picked, huh?
I was picked.
You were picked. How long have you been in the fire department?
13 years.
Was Dad ever here when you were here?
Yeah.
He still is a fireman?
He's
huh?
still a fireman, yeah.
He don't make too many fire calls.
He makes the calls for the structure fires.
For the structure he does, huh?
Yeah.
Great thing to have. I'll tell you, if you, one of the most important, we don't want you to come to visit us, but the fire department, they're just very dedicated people. How many dedicated firemen do you have here?
Well,
all of them, but how many is that?
Fire and EMS is a total of 55 we have.
Does that mean that some firemen are, well, I know some firemen are not EMS, but are some EMS not firemen?
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought they were all part of it. It's a separate unit here?
Yeah, it's a separate unit, but we have a few firemen that are EMS, and then we have just EMS personnel,
Okay.
and we have just fire personnel.
Okay. So let's say the fire department as such, how many of that 55 would be?
Oh, around pretty close to 45.
Okay. What age? What are the requirements to be a fireman? Are there any?
Well, you got to be 18 years of age. Hopefully, you have no physical handicaps.
Have to live within the fire district?
Yeah. Unless, like in the past, they've had a few incidents where, as long as you worked like a normal 8-hour day in the township, then you could be a fireman.
Okay, even though you were living outside?
Living outside. But
okay, let's say Jeff.
We don't have that problem.
All right, let's say
right
Jeff Manor. He's been living in this area. Now, suppose he moved to Rouse's Point with his business. He could still be a fireman here.
He could still be a
fireman. Because he's working over at your
Because
dad's.
he's working in
your
Mooers,
place.
yes.
Okay.
See, we also have a station up in Cannon's Corner.
That's what many people do. I'm sure we forget that. Well, before you go there, it was a village. It's no longer a village.
It's no longer a village.
Was the fire department a village fire department?
It
was a
village.
Yep. And then it contracted out for the town?
Right.
The town helped pay.
With the town.
All right. Now, was there a fire district? Then there was a fire district within the township? You cover the whole town? Beyond the town at all?
No,
not beyond.
No, pretty much the town of
Okay.
Mooers.
What changes have you noticed since you've had this, since you no longer are a village? Has there been any visible changes?
Well, since the village dissolved in the end of '95, the town took over.
Okay.
So now it's under a fire protection. Now that the town hires us for fire and EMS.
Okay. You got to remember, people out there in taxing jurisdictions, we have a school jurisdiction, we have a town, we've got a voting, and they're not all in the same area. You want to take care of that? No.
I just did.
They're not all in the same thing, but as far as the government is concerned, in the town itself, it's all covered by your department.
Yes.
All right.
See, the town, they own all the equipment in here.
Now,
okay. They hire us to
They
run.
hire you? What do you mean they hire you?
Well, see, we have a contract with the town, a budget.
Who does? The fire department?
Fire department.
That's a corporation?
Mooers
Separate?
Incorporated, yeah. Yes.
Oh, so you aren't, they own the equipment
They own the equipment, and
okay,
they
so,
hire us to
all right,
run the equipment.
all right, when you are running money raising, right? Money raising, what you do, yeah? What do you do with the funds if you don't have to buy equipment?
Well, we always have to buy Not so much like a truck, but there's always equipment to buy.
Oh, what about your clothes that you wear and your backpacks? That belongs to the
That
well,
belongs
to the firemen, not to the town.
But we've purchased just recently quite a bit of equipment. We've purchased some new coats, like 10 new coats and boots and helmets and new air packs, which is all money that some of the money has come from the town through the 96 budget, but a lot of it is through fundraisers and donations right from the people in the community of Mooers and others that have donated to our various fundraisers, which our biggest one is our Labor Day fundraiser.
Yes, very, very well known.
Yeah.
You've been doing that for a number of years. Now, before you before you moved up here, your fire station was located in behind the Blue Note area, in that area, and then you bought up here, built this.
Yes.
Were you in the fire department then?
No, I come in just
After?
Yeah.
And then you're right in behind. You have your field, which makes it quite nice for your. You have a pretty good following too.
Yep, we have a good turnout.
The one thing you don't have good every year,
Weather?
the weather. Yeah, you seem to have been pretty unfortunate. But last year was nice,
No,
wasn't it?
last year was a real good year.
It was a great, nice year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did that affect
sometimes.
your profit an awful lot? Because I've heard that you've done pretty well even when it rained.
Well, that has a major effect on it. If the weather is good, we usually have a good turnout, and
Well, everybody knows what we're talking about because it's Hometown Cable, and Calvin's there every year, right on the steps there. The old Fitch store, now the
Drowns.
Drown's Funeral Home. Did they have a fire in there? There was what happened on that? There was some smoke. Yeah, you had a smoke.
It called in as a possible structure fire, and we arrived, and there was quite a bit of smoke coming out. And we got in there, and we found that the electrical panel was on fire. It was starting to get right next to the wall, and we managed to put it out with the fire extinguisher. And
Before anything really got going.
it started to go, but we caught it right when it was.
Okay, and that was because of an alarm, I understand.
Yeah, there was a individual in the apartment above, and there's a smoke detector that was on the top of the stairways. Apparently he heard that, and then he called 911, and we were dispatched, and
I know.
that's when we caught it right at the very
You
beginning.
didn't have very far to go either.
No,
I've heard that the first 2 or 3 minutes is very, very important to the fire department.
very important.
Correct?
Very.
Keep out of your way, get there quick.
That's it. The first 5 minutes. So
That's when you want, and you did it in that
if
case.
you can get it when it starts, you've got an excellent chance of saving it.
I noticed in the paper they mentioned it was fortunate that they had a smoke detector. Well, there's a law that says you must have a smoke detector in every apartment or home that you rent. Is that correct? Do you know that?
That's right.
I'm quite sure that's correct, and they were working because a lot of people have them with no batteries in them.
That's it. If you got the smoke detector and the battery's dead,
Don't help much, huh?
you just will
Check-
not have one.
All right, talking about batteries, we'll take a short break for batteries right here. We'll be back. You're watching Hometown Cable. Mooers Fire Department is our focus tonight on this cold evening of Monday, the 19th of February.
Boy, don't worry, you're gonna get hammered hard too.
All right, we're talking about smoke detectors, and just as we were taking that short break, you mentioned that it's a very important thing, smoke detectors and other kind of detectors.
Well, that's it. Especially like if you have an incident at night when people are sleeping, which it does happen. You know, if you're sleeping, you might not possibly get alerted by smelling the smoke, but if you hear that alarm going off, that's going to get you up, and then you have a chance.
Could the smoke overtake you so quick that you would never wake up?
Oh, that's it. Exactly.
I mean,
It can.
it wouldn't choke you enough to get you to wake up,
Possibly
but it
not.
might still be too late, right?
Well,
By the
that's
time
it.
you find your way out.
If you finally, the smoke does get you up, there might be fire surrounding you where you couldn't get out of your room.
Okay. What do you teach? What do you say about when that detector goes off in the average home? What do you do
Get everybody together and get out.
before you make the phone call even?
Yeah, you got safety. You got to get. The biggest thing is the safety part. I mean, yes, structures, but they can be rebuilt. The biggest thing is, the actual life itself. You
Right.
have,
And you ought to have some kind of a plan.
oh, definitely.
Any family ought to have some kind of a plan that when you get out, at least you're going to meet across the street in the backyard somewhere, so you'll know that everybody else is out, and someone won't be going back in, a mom or a dad or a big brother, to find somebody that's already out.
That's very true.
So you ought to have some kind of a plan. And if you don't know what to do on those plans, I'm sure that the fire department here in Mooers would be glad to talk to you about it.
We could help them out.
And
if we
any
can.
other place that is watching, we have a lot of fire departments in the area, and they've got plans. They can tell you what you should be doing. That's very, very important, by the way. Just like they do it at schools, they have drills so that you'll know what to do. Because when it happens, you're kind of
so
disoriented, huh?
Exactly. And another thing is, like on a 2-story home, you want to make sure you have an upstairs escape route in case you can't go down the stairs.
Okay.
Have a place to get out.
Right.
Through a window with a chain ladder or something where you can get out of the building in case you can't go down the stairways.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I used to travel, and I would stay at a hotel, and way back like Port Henry, the smaller communities sometime, and first thing I did when I got in my room was to go out in the hall and look to check whether it says fire.
Exactly.
Just to have some idea, because if I woke up, I won't even know where I am probably,
Sure.
But I at least could have some idea that's the best way out.
Right.
And there should be 2 ways no matter what, in any place you're located. All right. Other detectors, there's 2 kinds of detectors. One is heat and one is smoke.
Yeah.
Should you have both?
Well, we only... You can have both, and probably should have both, but the smoke detector is the one
That's the one you should have, right?
one we've been more or less selling.
You sell them here too?
We do sell them here,
Yeah.
whatever they cost us, that's what we
Okay.
sell them for.
Yeah.
Just so hopefully everybody, can purchase
Okay.
one, because they're sold all over the place.
And if you don't have one, this is the time. Today, this week. Calvin has said, this is the time now to become a patron of Hometown Cable. Before you even send that check, you better think and write a note down to yourself, get that detector first, then write the check to Hometown Cable. But you're doing both for yourself, but fire is a terrible thing. If you haven't ever had one, you have no idea, and I've been fortunate enough. I haven't been close to too many fires near, close. You ever had any of your family had one at the house?
No.
Now, the property that your grandfather used to own, that burned, didn't it? Did he own it then? Did the family own it when it burned? Right across from grounds?
He held the mortgage on it, but
Okay,
I
but
guess he had sold it. So.
Okay, but there was nothing there that, that would have. There are other kind of detectors. The latest one now is some kind of gas or something.
Yeah, it's a carbon monoxide detector. Everybody should have one of those in their house, because that sometimes can sense carbon monoxide, which comes off if say your fuel oil furnace is not burning properly, or even a wood stove. If the smoke in the wood stove backs up.
Mm-hmm.
I had an incident myself where my chimney got blocked, and I've got 3 smoke detectors, and not one of them picked up sensed the smoke, but the carbon monoxide sensor did.
Quick? Why wouldn't your smoke detector pick that up?
It
You don't
just
have no
wasn't-
idea.
It wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough, yeah.
Volume there to
Uh-huh.
sense it, but the carbon monoxide, there was sensor. It had enough carbon monoxide in it to sense it. And they're very sensitive. You might get a carbon monoxide detector and it might go off, false alarm, but it's better safe than sorry.
Then you leave the building. You don't have to worry about calling the fire department. You're not going to lose the property. Just get out.
Get out. And
Now we're
open the
talking more
windows.
money, aren't we? They're a little more expensive.
Yeah, they're coming down in price though. They started high, but they're
What are we talking, $40, $50?
I think $39.95 you can get them for now.
I don't have one of those. I'll have to do some thinking about that myself. We always think our oil man and the person who's taking care of our furnace is doing a good job. We don't have the problem, but I guess we know from reading the paper it does happen.
Oh, yes.
All right. Any other kind of detectors that you should have?
Not that we push.
I guess what I'm thinking of is common sense. Put your cigarettes out if you're still ignorant enough to be still smoking, and particularly if you've got children. And for heaven forbid anybody ever smokes in a bedroom. I can't imagine someone lying in bed and reading and smoking. It just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. And so think close, watch, don't leave lights on too close to a shade, to make sure your fireplace is out before you go to bed. All these things are common sense. You don't need a detector for those, except your good common sense. There is another place in this township where you have other people very dedicated to fire, in addition to what is this location. You have an auxiliary station?
This is considered station number 1, and we have a station number 2 in Cannons Corners up in Mooers Forks. We have a pumper truck there and a rescue.
Now, that's a different group of men up there, or boys, gentlemen, men and women, a different group of firemen? Fire
Well, it's all-
persons?
Yeah, they're different.
Different groups.
They're considered part of, the whole incorporation, but they have their, it's considered station 2, certain members.
Okay,
There's
do they come to your meetings, or do they have their own meeting?
the monthly meetings, they come here.
They come here.
And then we have one in the summertime up there.
Have your own equipment up there, too? You have to have equipment?
Yeah. They have a squad truck and a pumper.
How long have you had a station there, Station 2? Years and years?
Well, it's been there, it's been over 10 years.
You could really have a Rabideau fire department in that area up there, couldn't you? Huh? There's enough Rabideaus
Revenue and samples.
and samples, right, that could take care. La Valley, they'd want to get in, too, up in that area, huh? When we're talking about Rabideau, I see Rainey over there. I'm trying to think, age group that you have in your members. He's got to be one of your senior people, hasn't he? Rainey Rabideau?
He's older than I can
He's older
count.
than, well, I knew
I
that.
can't count that high.
Yeah, but he was a very honored. We'll probably get a chance to talk to him. He was a
Oh,
very
hopefully.
honored fireman, wasn't he?
He was.
He certainly is, and he's very active. And he even on
Still active.
certain times he's over there making
Helping pancakes?
pancakes too, doesn't he? Over at the
Yep.
Dragoons,
I better
huh?
be careful what I say.
We love him there. I'll tell you when he's doing that.
He's very dedicated. fireman.
Okay, what do you have? Now you built a new building. How many bays do you have in your fire department? Is it 4?
4.
4. And how many trucks do you have in this station?
We have the squad truck right here. We have 2 pumpers, this truck and the one on the other side. We have the far bay, we have a large tanker.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a brush truck that's backed in, and we also have the ambulance that's
Okay.
back up.
Now, when I said fire truck and you said pumpers. Now, there's a difference probably, huh?
Yeah, there's a difference between a pumper truck and a tanker truck.
Probably because of the rural area, you don't have a lot of fire hydrants. Is that why?
We have none.
You have none at all in the
So that's
village.
why we have our large tanker.
Okay,
for
what does that
water supply.
mean? What's a tanker do? You full of water all the time?
Yeah, the tanker we have is a 5,000 gallon tank on the back of a truck. And it's used when we get to the scene of a fire. We have a pumper that's right there next to the scene, and we use a portable pond. Then we fill the water into that pond with the tanker truck.
Okay, a portable pond. You mean like a small
swimming pool, you
swimming
might as
pool,
well say.
and you empty the water in there.
In there.
And then you go get some more, so you don't
Right.
have your truck there pumping it onto the fire. It goes into the portable, in other words.
The main pumper
Yep.
truck is the one using to attack the fire.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you have mutual aid for other tankers to come in.
You can keep enough water generally.
Generally you can. It just depends your location and
Mhm.
how far away you have to go to get the water.
Of course, you have ponds and streams in the summer,
Yes,
or
sir.
other than
Yeah.
the winter, right?
It just depends, if it's late fall and
Mhm.
stuff dries up, you run out of water supply,
Yeah.
you have to go to different areas.
Now, Mooers probably, you don't have as much, like say Rouse's Point and Champlain, probably have more people in a given area of homes and things that they're protecting, and yours is more the rural
Rural,
type,
yeah.
and that's a different kind of firefighting, isn't it?
Yes.
Completely different?
Yeah, they have a lot of fire hydrants. Rouse Point, they got the lake
Yes,
right there.
yes.
Champlain, the river. It's different.
Okay. Mutual aid. Let's talk just about your mutual aid is the same as anybody else. You belong to the mutual aid.
Yeah,
You
mutual
can
aid.
or you can't. Is that right? Most people do?
Yeah, most of them.
Okay. What does it mean? What does mutual aid mean to the people who may hearing it? It means that what?
You can either give mutual aid or receive mutual aid. It's help. Like if we have a fire, we call in neighboring departments to come in and help us, and we'll call in a department to come and stand by in our station. And vice versa, if somebody else has a fire, we can either go with a tanker, or we can go with a pumper, or we can go to standby.
So you don't only go to Mooers fires, do you?
No, you don't only go with the Moores. You go into Canada.
You go into
Hemingford,
Canada, yeah.
St. Bernard.
You do anything in Vermont at all? You ever get over it? Not in Vermont.
I haven't been to Vermont.
Plattsburgh, you get down to the Plattsburgh
Every
area?
once in a while, they get a big structure. It's been down there a couple of times.
Uh-huh. But someone would still be standing by here. You would never completely leave your station, huh?
No, there's always a pumper that stands by in the
Okay.
station.
What can you expect on an average fire? How many people would you say you would have, on a normal fire where it's not, let's say, not real big, how many firemen would show up out of 45?
At a 45, probably 20, 25.
It's also day or night makes a difference, right?
Oh, it makes a,
Oh, they're giving us something here. Look at this.
makes a very big difference. This is our tanker task force.
Oh, okay.
It tells you when we have different type of incident,
Okay.
who responds to Mooers when we have a call.
Okay, let's take a short break and we'll come back and we'll find out what this is that Mr. Rabideau thinks we should see right here. What you have in front of you is actually a master plan of what would happen when you have fires in certain areas.
Yeah. What
Okay.
I have here is it's called a tanker task force, and when it's designed, fire control has a copy of this, and then when there is a fire and we call for mutual aid, we'll tell fire control which task force we would like. If it's just like a trailer fire or not too big of a fire, we usually go task force 1, which would be our neighboring departments. 2 trucks would be responding, 2 tankers would be responding to the scene. We'd have a pumper truck from another department to come, they call it a fill pumper, to go to the water source to supply our trucks and the other tankers with water to put on the scene. And we'd have a standby truck pumper that would be standing on your station.
From what I see quickly here, that let's say you have an eastern district and a western district.
Yeah,
You divide it.
That's what we divide
All
it.
right. And then within, if it's in the east, you could have 3 different setups. Task Force 1, Task Force 2, or Task Force 3.
Right.
Right? That
Yep,
means
exactly.
it would be different no matter where, on the severity of it? Is that the idea?
Well, what it is depending where the location of the fire, we want to get the closest departments to get them there as fast as they can, because it's all time. Time is, so if it's something on the east end, we get the departments on close to the east, and if it's on the west end, we get the departments closer on the west of us.
Okay.
They have like 3 task force, task force 1, 2, and 3. Task force 3 is, a real severe barn fire or, situation like that.
Is there an alternate plan? Let's say, for instance, while some of this is happening, one of these people already have a small fire where they are.
Well, then-
There'd be a change
Oh yeah, it'd be a change, we can't.
done by the
fire control.
fire control in Plattsburgh. Jim King in his office and Marty Picard.
No, I just like the.
No longer? Not there anymore? Marty's not there anymore, you say? Is that what you're telling me? I think so. I don't, okay. He was, all right.
No, I just like to say, as far as the mutual aid, we have, as far as the mutual aid system, all our neighboring departments, we appreciate them helping us out. They do an excellent job for us. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have some of the saves that we have done in the past.
Do you know whether your grandfather had that when he was in the fire department?
They call in mutual aid, but it was nothing
Wasn't like it is today.
Fire control.
I think it's just great. It's just great to have that.
Very much so.
Okay.
No, that's excellent feature to
Okay.
have.
Now, we're here on a Monday night, and Calvin said, "Well, they're not here special to see us." What happens on Monday night normally? Is this your
This is our
meeting
work-
night?
No, this is our work night.
What does that mean?
Every Monday night is considered a work night or training night, where we come in and stuff that has to be done on the equipment to get ready, in case we've had a fire during the week or something, and also for training, to keep updated and.
When I want to get out of the house, I tell my wife I'm going to a bookstore. You say you're going to a training night or a work night at the fire department. Is that what it is on a Monday night?
Yeah. That's what
How
it
many
is.
people will you get on a work night?
10, 15.
And what would you do? What kind of work?
Like they're doing right now. We're getting ready to put a pump on our tanker,
Uh-huh.
so that'll be able to pump off water, not to attack a fire, but just to discharge water instead of having to just use the quick dump. And on this squad truck right now, we're remodeling the inside to make it easier to get the equipment out
All right,
and
what,
make more room.
the squad truck, what is that for? That carries your people as well as equipment?
People as well as the equipment, coats, boots, air packs,
Okay.
saws, gloves.
All right, so people don't bring those home. They're always,
Well, certain ones.
Some do?
Certain firemen do have their own,
Mhm.
their coats and that.
Right.
Because if they're quite a ways away from the, fire department, they can just grab their gear. Sometimes they, if it's far from our district, they can get on the scene quicker. And if they got their equipment, then they can do something.
we're talking fire department throughout the volunteers. They put in hours upon hours upon hours at no cost, really. They get no pay for this. It's satisfaction, and occasionally I imagine they get a smile on their face when you say thank you. We appreciate your coming. You must have froze your hands the other night. That's no fun, but you appreciate a thank you now and then. And one way to thank them physically or with money, they don't want you to hand them cash, but if they've done something for you, a donation for their group to buy more things to help you would be in order. Labor Day, come here and patronize attend your dinner that you have, the functions you have, the big parade, and in March 17th, you could come to that. If you like breakfast, they're gonna have a nice breakfast here. What are you having for breakfast? A brunch?
You can, having a breakfast brunch. I'll let you talk to Gail.
Oh, okay. And besides, you can
EMS.
see it right on Hometown Cable. They've got a special screen that Calvin has put up. All right. Anything else that we should know here that?
Well, I can let some of the
Oh, you let
guys
somebody else talk?
talk
Okay.
about other things, but I'd just like to, just a couple things I'd like to say is, as far as like my, different situations that I've been to, like in a house, a lot of the main concerns I have is like around the wood stove areas. A lot of places I see where they have flammable stuff too close to the furnaces. It should be a minimum of 3 feet away, and a lot of places I see where it's closer than that. And if anybody watches this and
Now you're talking being there not because of a fire, just visiting in that house for whatever
visiting
reason.
or being there for a different type of incident.
Yep.
But, if they don't hurt to check around. If you got something too close to your furnace, just move it away.
Yeah.
And another thing is on burn barrels. As far as burning garbage in a barrel outside, I see a lot of barrels too close to buildings and unattended. That's where we lost a few structures, and that's where we could have lost probably 4 or 5. We wouldn't have got there in time to put the grass out. That was getting close to the structure.
That seems like common sense, doesn't it? That you wouldn't burn too close to a building or in a building.
Well, see, it happens, and the wind picks up and takes an amber away, and then once the wind catches it, and just if it's dry out, but if
So be warned. We warned. The only place that's going to start a fire right now when an amber goes is on top of a roof. Not going to burn many trees, but it'll burn the roofs or anything at all, and it will. And it don't only endanger you but it endangers your neighbors too, and the people who are rushing to get there at no salary to help you out. They wouldn't have to go out that cold night if you didn't have that problem. Right. Okay.
I'd just like to, thank everybody for helping out our community. Okay. All their donations are very well appreciated.
And needed, huh? Needed.
I'd like to thank you for
you're
Calvin and Bob for coming up on our Labor Day doings and running the camera, and then Calvin staying after to film our tractor pull.
Oh yes, he does that. I tell you,
Appreciate that.
3 and 4 hours with those garden tractor pulls he puts in there. It was pretty hot last year too. As I left, he was getting the full brunt of the sun over there. I remember.
Did an excellent job.
Does a great job.
We appreciate you guys coming up and help supporting us. And
thank you. People that have seen me and know that I always push others, but 3 groups particularly: my church, my library, and my fire department, and the schools. But the schools got taxes they can pick up. The others don't have those taxes. I'm very prone for my libraries, for the fire department. Those are both donated, most of that, and then of course my church and other things too. But those 3 lead the group as far as I'm concerned. And you're a dedicated group of young men and women too. And women, you have women in the fire, and they're not in auxiliary either, are they?
No.
Be careful.
No, we have a couple of female firefighters.
Oh, I was going to say, God, I thought you were going to say firemen. Firemen, don't. It's hard to. If I say that, it's certainly not being derogatory. It's a fire person or a firefighter. Firefighters. Okay.
They've helped us out very much.
Okay. We'll take a short break, and we'll probably talk with somebody else, and we may see you before we leave.
Hopefully not.
Wayne.
Just,
don't that make you feel good when he says hopefully not? Wayne Dragoon, the chief.
Camera shy.
Is there a number for the fire department or anything like that? Do you have a number?
It's unlisted.
No, I don't mean telephone number, but I mean it isn't called anything special. Fire department don't have a number so and so number 4, except your station number 1. That's all we're talking. All right. We've got different people in a new location, but you can see it says fire, so we are still in the fire station. We're in where Not quite so much work to do. Who's this new man I have here?
Jeff Menard, President of the Mooers Fire Department.
Oh, now see, I just mentioned to the chief, it's going to be hard to explain all of this, but we'll get to it. And this man here, the oldest in the community.
I'm Randy Rabideau. I'm former chief, and I've been in the department for a long time.
How long have you been in the fireman?
Since 1952.
Wow, that's 44 years.
44 years next month.
Nobody longer than that in this department, huh?
No. One is in September this year.
I was going to ask you if you carry any weight, but anybody carries weight, it's you and I, Jeff. We're the one that carries the weight here. You were what?
The other one is Clifton Higgins. He'll have 44 in September.
Okay, did you come in about the same time?
In 1948, they discovered that they needed a fire department in Mooers. So they organized a department, and we got a charter in 1949. And I joined in 52. The first two trucks that we had were handmade. They were handmade tanks, surplus pumps, and we worked that till about 64. And 1959 we built a Butler building, 3 doors, and that didn't last too long, so we discovered that we needed more room. So in 1980 we built this here. I was chief. I started chief in 78 till 1990, and we had the room. We had trucks outside in the other station. That's the year that the Station 2 was organized, 1980. So I was chief from, well, 11 years, I should say. We bought an ambulance, used ambulance from the air base. We bought the big tanker and what else? And we put the order in for the new pumper, the 259, and we had to go with the system. Required more of the fire department. I can remember we probably would have 50 calls, ambulance and fire call, 40 years ago. Now we got 350.
Well,
So-
all right. Now, I got the impression before 1949 you weren't allowed to have a fire around the Mooers area because you had no fire department.
We would get, if there was a major fire, they figured they could put it out, they would call either Champlain or Plattsburgh or Rouse's Point. And they would come up with one truck. I don't know, we had a problem.
So you lost a lot of buildings you could have saved had you had a fire department here.
There was a lot of, Ellenberg didn't come in till late, Altona, Mooers, Hemingford didn't start till 58. So there was a lot of problem with the small towns.
I never realized that there wasn't some kind of a fire department at all. So you were the chief for 11 years, you said. You've seen a lot of things come and go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now, this...
We had
Go
we had to
ahead.
change with the times.
And you built this building when?
In 1980.
All right, now this, and I'll get right back to you here, Jeff, but this has become, more so than some communities, more than a fire department. This has become a center of this community because you meet here, the seniors meet here, you have
Town board meeting,
here, you have
village
health
board meeting used to happen.
health groups meet here,
The AAA, the judge is here, everything's here.
Right here in this-
It's a
right-
complex.
Yes, it is. It's the village complex. Now, who paid for the building?
It was a three-way, the fire department put some money in, town put some in, and the village put some in at the time. It's the three groups that put it in.
Did the fire department raise the money at all for it?
We raised some money, but we were buying trucks and
All right.
we put some money in this too.
All right, that's something I want to clear up before we go any further. Outside, Wayne mentioned that the trucks belong to the town, but that's just recently.
Right.
They didn't buy those trucks.
January 1 of 1996, the village was dissolved and the town took over. Now it's the town responsibility of the budget. Before that, it was a village, and from day one, from the time I've been in the fire department, we've always ran out of money in the middle of the year. or before.
So you had the canisters out there to buy some of this equipment, right? You were running up and down the street?
Well, we did spaghetti dinners and breakfasts and
Mm-hmm.
whatever and raised money. We never played bingo here, but we've had our Labor Day since 1960. Labor Day. It's been going since 1960, and that's, how many years would that be?
36, yeah.
36.
And you haven't had much competition on Labor Day up north here, have you?
We're the last one in the area.
And there's nobody else up here that has one on Labor Day. I guess in Vermont, does Vermont have one that day? Ossible's the nearest one.
Right.
Okay,
We
that's,
used to have it. I don't know if it's still out or not. That's the only competition we had.
well, and the weather.
Right.
The weather's always been competition here.
Yeah, it's been cool.
Well,
Some
and
days It's
rain.
been cool.
And rain, you know, you've had rain. But it's hard, you can't predict. So how long have you been in the fire department then?
10 years.
And you are the president?
Yes.
All right, now you're going to have to explain to me the difference between a chief and a president, and are there two organizations here?
No, it's all one organization. The president controls what goes on in the firehouse, the meetings and public relations and stuff, and the chief handles the outside, the fires and car accidents and stuff like that.
So he doesn't run the meeting or anything like
No,
that? The chief doesn't
no,
do that, huh?
No, that's the president's job.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many officers are there in a fire department?
Well, you have your fire chief, you have your first assistant chief, second assistant chief, your captain, your lieutenant, and your second lieutenant, and then you got your president,
Okay.
vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
Okay, so in your line coming down, you have the as most organizations, a 1 and a 2 and
Yeah.
the secretary, the treasurer.
Yes.
And you kind of, more or less, if you're assistant, you can expect to be president later on, right?
Right. Yeah.
You work your way up, and then you become a member of the board of directors when you leave as president?
Not really. We kind of leave the board of directors to the older fellows that have already been through the ranks of the.
Is there much politics in the fire department?
Not that much since I've been in here. I haven't seen that much.
No cliques?
No, we're
Not as such?
no, we got a pretty good group here.
Well,
and
more so because you don't have any big workers base like you would have in a community like, say, Sheridan or Arist and the Customs, where you might have different groups that kind of stick together,
Right.
sometimes more than that, but you don't have that here. During the day, if you have a fire, do you get a good turnout? Do you have most of your people available?
pretty good. I guess we're pretty lucky because across the road at Dragoons, I believe we have four
Five.
firemen that work at Dragoons, and Jack is pretty good on a structure fire, a major fire. He lets us pretty much all go. And-
Because when you get right down to it, in a place like Mooers, you don't have many people working in the community who probably are firemen.
That's right.
They're away in other areas and they can't get to the fire.
We do have problems with EMTs in the daytime because
Okay.
of the people working out of town. And we try to depend on the 2 or 3 to do it, and it's tough.
Yeah, that's
Matter of fact, we do need EMTs during the day.
Right, we'll talk about the EMTs a little bit, specialize a bit more. But,
As a matter of fact, we can get Gail in here and.
okay. Now tell me, how long does a person like you continue to be a fireman? You go out to fires too? You get to be the fires?
I wish you didn't ask those questions.
Well, I've got to ask you. Your wife wants to know. So, but you get out to the
As long
fires?
as I'm healthy, I'll.
Okay, but you go to the fires and fight fires
Oh,
too?
I do that.
You still do
I
that,
don't go
huh?
in buildings anymore.
You don't go in buildings? No, well, I can understand that. You aren't half as fast as you used to be.
he's our
No, I
pump,
can't
he's our
stand-
pump operator.
I can't stand the smoke anymore.
Well, in addition to being a good fireman, he's a pretty good guy. It seemed like I worked with most of these people, but I worked with Rainey up at Customs. He was with GSA for how many years?
35 years.
35 years, and a lot of those years he was in the same building I was up there, and we got to see each other several times a day, and he retired in 90, 89?
90.
90, a couple of years after I did. Time goes fast, huh?
Yeah, when you're having fun.
Are you spending any more time here now than you did before?
No, I don't do the work that I used to do here. I'm gonna let everybody catch up to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, is he he's a good mentor, though, right?
Oh, he's a
Good
very
one
good.
he's
very good.
help for training. He knows what's been
That's
going
right,
on.
yeah. And he does, I dare say 85% of the ambulance runs. He drives the ambulance, so he spends a lot of time on that.
We had 226 ambulance calls last year and 110 fire calls.
Wow.
I did 100 fire calls and I did 196 ambulance calls.
You did.
Yeah. I drive the ambulance, I ride in the back. I'm not an EMT.
All right. Well, before
I'm a provider.
we're not forgetting you here, Jeff. But that came a time, and we wanted to go up and see you about that time. But we're going to take a short break before we go there. We're going to talk about you were the fireman of the year for the county, and you don't just get that because you've had a lot of years in. There's good reasons for that, and you've already heard some of them. Now, that number of calls he just made, you're talking nearly 300 total of EMT and fire. That's a lot. That nearly qualifies you to be an officer or something. We'll be
No,
right.
I don't want to be an officer.
We'll be right back. You don't have time. I remember we wanted to talk to you. Was it 91, 92? You were fireman.
1990.
1990. See, it was
1990.
just about the time you retired.
Yeah, it was a year after I retired.
Right. What does that mean when you were fireman of the year? What happens?
Well, the department, I had some good people that wrote some letters. Every department has a chance to write a letter on a person and present it to a committee. I've been on a committee several times. And you pick a person that you think that's worthy of it, supposedly. Well, 1980, from 80 to 90, it was a busy year for Mooers Fire Department because we did a lot of things. And they figured they pick on me because I was the chief at the time. And that's how I got it.
Well,
Matter
yeah.
of fact, it was February 7th, 1990 that I got my award.
That means if you're chief, you're out there working. If you're a real good organizer, you're inside and you're president.
And a red shirt.
And a red shirt. So now you are still, like you said, you made that many calls. You drive the ambulance, you
I
say,
drive
huh?
the ambulance and I provide in the back to them.
Okay.
I'm not an EMT. I used to be an advanced first aider,
Uh-huh.
but I gave that up because of the age. I try to drive the ambulance. I try to drive as safe as I can because we got lives to protect. Namely mine first because I'm right in the front.
Mhm.
And maybe I probably going to pack it in someday.
You have to
Everyone else-
take physicals in order to drive that ambulance?
No.
No? But you're in pretty good health. You're
Oh, yeah, I'm
holding up
good
pretty
health. A little overweight like you.
Well, see, now that wasn't called for at all. We're talking about firemen here. That has nothing to do with fighting a fire at all, except I can't get there as quick. I wish I could think of something coming right back, and I can't. Yeah. Is your wife in the department at all? Was she ever in?
She's an auxiliary member. She has been since 1960, I believe.
Probably has to in
I
order
have
to
a
see
daughter.
you.
I have a daughter in the auxiliary. I have 2 sons in the department.
Oh my.
We got to keep the Rabbit tradition going.
Mhm.
And you mentioned the Rabbitoos in Station 2. We have 2 up there.
Mhm.
Other than that, let's see, Wayne has been in around 20 years now. And I got a youngest son has been in, 6 years?
Wow. Yeah.
Dale. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you're like Orville Trombley, you can't always think of the name right off the bat.
Yeah.
Mention Lisa's name too.
Lisa, yeah, she's been in for about 3 years now.
And your wife's first name? I have to give hers too.
Marcella. Yeah.
Marcella. All right.
She's been in since around 1960.
Any other Rabbitoos except your own family in this department? Right here?
No.
All right, right. There's 2 in Mooers Fort,
Two in
Cannons Corner.
2 in Cannons.
You know, I really envy Mooers, as I've said this before too. Really, no manufacturing done in this township. They have 3 athletic fields, and they've got 2 separate fire departments. And really, there is no really money raising except for taxes. And I mean, there's no.
You mean rec parks you're talking about?
Yeah, rec parks.
Who do you think takes care of the rec parks?
I don't know. Fireman?
Me.
You do that
Yeah,
too.
I do that too.
What is that called? You're a rec.
3 rec parks, one in Mooers, one in Mooers Forks,
Yes.
one in Cannons. There's 21 acres of land, and I mow, or help to mow, there's 2 of us that mow it. We have 4 ball fields to take care of.
What's the organization that does that? What is that called?
It's a town
Recreation,
recreation park.
So you're in. I know, but are you a recreation committee?
I'm the park supervisor.
Park supervisor. That means you don't work, but you get the credit?
I work a
Is that what
lot.
that means?
I work a lot.
Who else mows with you?
We have Malcolm Guerin now. He
Okay.
works, his second job, he works for the state park in Plattsburgh, and he helps us.
Now, Malcolm, brother of Melvin, and that's
no,
the right family?
Alton's
Alton's
brother.
brother. Okay.
And he's also the basketball coach and soccer coach and whatever.
Okay, Malcolm. Yeah.
Malcolm.
He played ball too for you.
He played ball,
For
yeah.
years. All right. All right. We'll talk to the guy in the red here a little bit now. He's come from a pretty good name in the area too. A man, or was your father? Did he belong to the fire department?
No,
Ever?
no, he never. I was the first one in the Menard family to join, I guess.
Is that right? What's your father's first name?
Francis.
Francis Menard. I've heard that someplace. He's very active in his church, I know,
Yes, very.
and very good to. He's a member at Mooers Forks, isn't he? Huh?
Right.
And do you ever get any advice or prodding from anybody on your in-law side? Anybody over there that can any kind of organization?
Oh yeah,
Who did you? What family did you marry into?
the Letourneau family.
Laterno. Which Laterno? Not Leo.
No, Dick.
Richard. Yes, Butterball. Richard Butterball Laterno. That's who it is, right there. Dick. And real organizer, real organizer. He keeps you going, doesn't
Oh
he?
yes.
You're a partner with him also. Doesn't
Yes, I am.
What's that called?
Trophy and awards.
Trophies and awards. You and Arsene and
and
Dick.
Yeah.
And who started that business? Do you know?
Oh, a long time ago, I believe it was Bob Bennett.
Bob Dent started that business and ran it for about 3 years, and then the government said I couldn't do part-time work, even in my own business, so I had to sell it. And Billy Conley and Dick bought, and I'm very pleased to see it continuing, going the way it is. You guys are doing a good job.
Yes, we're.
Gives you a break from the regular day's work. Huh?
Yes.
And you're also a new daddy, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
What's the baby's name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. How old?
2.5 months.
2.5 months. That makes 3.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
I have a son, Jonathan, who was 4, and another daughter, Janelle, who was 2.
Saw her the other day when we were at the party at the KFC in Mooers last Thursday night for Mrs. Mitchell. I saw her there with Joanne. And what did I say, Champlain? Oh, God, I'm in Mooers, but it was in Rouse's Point at for Mrs. Mitchell. Okay, so what does, you say a president runs the meetings, right?
Right.
Anything else you do? You don't set up the work schedule for the man, anything like that? No, nothing like that?
The chief takes care of that. I more or less run the meetings and set up the meetings, and if there's a problem, we try to take care of it, the president, vice president.
So, you're called, what is the four you called? Is it the fire department?
No, the officers, you mean?
Yes.
I guess we're called the standings committee is what it's
Okay,
called.
so who controls the money? That group?
Yes.
Not that you control it any more than any other fireman, but you have a budget here, nearly $100,000 you get from the town,
Yes.
and you control the money that group
Yes.
with the vote of the body.
Right. We sit down as the committee, and we recommend what we need for the department. We bring it back to the body, and we
Okay.
vote on it.
That's important. Is this the same thing in most fire departments, where you have a president and you have a,
Yes.
and it's one organization?
We started that in about 1978.
And why is that?
Because it put too much work on the chief, break up the workload.
Okay. Is it also possible, not being derogatory to anybody, but there are some people who maybe are real good at fighting fires and not very good at an organization on the inside, for one thing, and you also get 2 people involved, and you don't have to do so much work, right?
That's right. You break it up.
I don't know how much you know about fire. Are you as good as the chief as some of the others that out at a fire?
Well,
Would
pretty
you make
good, I
you'd
guess,
make
yeah.
you'd make a good chief too?
Someday I wish to be chief.
Well, I heard that if Rainey could be chief, they said practically anybody
can.
in the department could be chief. Maybe not 11 years. Stay easy the first time. It's only when you get reelected you know you're doing a good job. How many terms? 5?
Every year.
Every year? Oh,
Yeah,
10,
every year.
10, 11 times.
11 times.
Never caught you, did they?
No.
Huh? Good.
It's good when you're good.
Tell me your other officers. Who's your vice president?
Vice president is Bruce Bowers, and our first assistant chief is Larry Dumas.
Now you're going. Let me get your secretary and treasurer.
Okay,
first.
our secretary is Nancy Svarvplatis is her
Okay.
last name, and our treasurer is Mike Donald. He's been treasurer for
7, 8 years.
Yeah, he's been, at least as long as I've been in here, he's been treasurer. He's a good man with our,
Station 2 now.
he's a good man with our money.
Okay. How often do you have an election for president?
Every year.
Every year?
Yes.
And how many years have you been in?
I've been president, this is my 3rd year as president.
Is there any limit that you can do it?
No, I was treasurer, I was secretary for 4 years,
Uh-huh.
and then I moved up to president. Yeah, and
Take a lot of time?
it takes a little bit extra time, yes.
This is in addition to the other hours you've, how many hours you put in, you think, at the fire department? Even an hour or two at home if you're working on it, in the course of a week,
Course
average?
of a week. Myself personally, I put probably maybe 4 to 5 hours.
4 or 5.
a week.
You put in more because you're on that, you're driving the ambulance, right?
You
might-
mean time involved?
Yes, time
Oh,
involved
my
for a week?
gosh. No guess.
No guess, huh? But it would be more than 10?
A lot of hours.
A lot of hours, yeah?
Some days a lot more than
we've
others.
had-
Some days you get a couple of calls and.
Uh-huh.
and
We've
you
had
go-
as high as 6 calls within 34 hours here. And I went 5 times to Plattsburgh in 34 hours. So we figure maybe 2.5 each call.
Wow,
Hours.
yeah. Out of bed at night, because the wrecks a lot of times are at night,
Oh, you
right?
can't schedule accidents.
No, you
so-
can't. You can't. You'll know. They come right in the middle of a
One
good.
thing I got to correct on
Yes.
Jeff is he keeps forgetting Station 2. They're part of this department.
Okay, yeah, well, he did
They
say
have
that.
Assistant chief.
Oh, okay. Let's go back then. They have a separate group of officers.
Just for the line officers.
Okay.
And the
Tell me who
president,
they
the
are
president, the president and vice president take care of both departments.
Okay,
and
so-
treasurer.
so who-
But like the outside officers, they call them the line officers. And the chief, they call him the first assistant chief in Station 2 is Mike Huff. And the second assistant chief is Harold Rebidoux. And then they've got captain
is,
would be
Ally,
Ally Sample. Here.
Okay. So they could have a work night there separate than yours.
Right, they do.
You wouldn't go work at their work night.
Not unless they
They need help,
they
you
were-
might. Okay.
That's right.
And then when you have your joint meeting once a month, you have a regular meeting?
Right. And they all come down here and we have the meeting all together, both
Okay.
stations.
Don't have a fire or an emergency during that time, even though you're all here. You don't want to be disturbed because you got important things to talk about.
What's happened that we left?
You have, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we should know about your job in particular, in addition to being a regular fireman? I beg your pardon. Didn't I get the all 4 here? I got the 4 in yours, but I didn't get the chief and the others.
Okay,
You
well,
tell me.
you already met Wayne regularly.
Okay,
he's regular
Wayne.
chief.
Okay.
And then you got Larry Dumas, assistant chief, and Chris Bowers is second assistant, and Steve Hapgood is captain, and Bruce Sample, I believe, is lieutenant.
All right. Now there must be a reason why they call it. What's the captain do? He does a special thing to do when he gets to a fire?
Yes, it depends what the chief designates.
Okay. Let's just take an example. Both of you tie in here. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. I want to know what happens when you get to a fire. You may think they're just running around and all and doing things opposite each other, but they're not. There's some kind of an organization when you get there, and let's just see what usually might happen when you get to a fire. Don't know how this is going to come out, but we're going to try to manufacture a fire here and just see what happens organization-wise when you get to it. The only thing I do know is what you shouldn't do. And that's when the fire department is on its way to a fire, do not tailgate at any time. And when you get there, don't become a nuisance because they're there and they know what they're going to do. They know what they have to do when they get there. When a fire, the whistle blows and it's blown from somebody in Plattsburgh. Is that right? 911 they call, and they blow the whistle here from Plattsburgh. So you all go to the fire, or do you come to the station?
Well, somebody's got to come to the station.
You get the fire truck. All right. You come to the fire here, and you get someone drive. Only certain people can drive the truck.
The tanker is the only certain people.
How many different?
There's about 8.
Eight different people. All right. So you get to a fire. Let's say, let's not pick on Mooers Forks. Between Mooers Forks and here, but to the north a little bit. And there's 9, 10 firemen. Is that a good average? 10 firemen you get there?
Yeah.
All right. When you get 10 firemen get there, what happens at the scene? You don't all run off like busy little bees or, you got a definite plan?
Right.
What happens?
Well, a lot of the younger firemen will head to the squad truck to put on air packs if it's so they can get inside interior firemen. And some of the guys will grab the hoses to fire from the outside. The chief, he kind of takes care of getting the equipment there if we need any more mutual aid. And then you get your assistant chief will help the chief out and designate where they're going to get the water from. If it's a big fire.
When you get there, you got a chief and you got an assistant chief and maybe the captain and the lieutenant. Who's in charge at the fire?
The chief.
He's in charge of everything.
Right.
Okay, and he designates certain areas?
Yes.
Like for instance, how do he break it down? Say, inside the building, outside the building?
Right. He'll put someone in charge to keep an eye on the firemen because once in a while you do get a little gung ho and you kind of go where you probably shouldn't. So they kind of keep an eye and say, okay, back off a little bit. And
all right. Now he's not going to go up that ladder and tap you on the shoulder and say you shouldn't be here.
No.
So you got your radios?
Yes, you got the radios, and he'll holler at you and tell you what you're doing wrong or what you should be, so something different you should be doing.
So that there's a definite. Now if the chief isn't there, and the assistant chief isn't there, not there yet, or they haven't arrived, who's in charge of the fire? Captain?
Second assistant chief.
Second assistant chief.
Right.
All right. And what's the captain's job if one of the top three are there? Has he got any particular job as a captain?
He'll go in the middle.
Yeah.
He'll go in the building.
He goes in the building. I don't want to be captain. Is he looking for people or to fight the fire?
If you got the proper training, you'll go in.
Okay. Is he primarily going in to look for people or to fight the fire inside?
Fight the fire.
Fight the fire. All right. Who's in charge of making those big holes in the roof? And I see it. Look at he's doing to my roof. Why do you make a hole in the roof?
That's ventilation.
Go in the window.
Ventilation.
Ventilation.
Yeah.
Don't that make the fire burn faster?
No, you let the smoke out so
Let
you
the
can see.
smoke out and the heat out.
And the heat out.
Okay. And then because you can't see
That's
otherwise.
right. That's right. You get the smoke rises, so you get it out, and you're able to see what's going on inside and where the fire is coming from.
All right. Because you got to get to that source.
That's right.
Is there any other way to tell except by visualizing where the fire is? Someone may have told you it started over the pedal box or.
Well, that we determine that after.
Oh, but I mean to know where you've got to go to get
You
that.
go to the fire itself.
The flames.
Okay.
You'll
Go to the
see. You'll pretty much see the flames, and you go after them.
Uh-huh.
Try to push it out.
What if the fire is so bad, and I'm the owner, and I say, look, let it burn for crying out loud, let it burn, Rainey. I got to pick up that whole mess. Can you let it burn?
No, insurance won't let
No.
you.
Won't let you let it burn, huh?
By
No matter
law.
how bad it is?
That's right. By law,
Yeah,
we're volunteer firemen. We go to put fires out, and that's what we have to do.
Okay.
Yeah. No matter how much they want us to let it burn, we have to put it out.
Right. What's the biggest problem you have when you get to a fire, other than the fire itself? The people, the owner,
Spectators.
the spectators, right? What do you want the
Spectators.
spectators to do?
Stay back.
Stay back.
home.
Stay
Yes,
home.
Stay home will be better.
Well, it's
but-
hard to make them stay home. They're very nosy.
That's right. That's right.
They're very nosy. People are, and maybe I am too. I don't chase fire trucks, but you want to know what it is. Listen to the scanner. Talk more in the scanner. They wouldn't have to go.
That's right. And that's one of the jobs of one of the officers too, is to make sure the people stay back far
Okay.
enough where they're not going to get injured.
Are they pretty good at getting back when you tell them?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, they're pretty good at it.
But if they don't, you are pretty good. You can have them arrested. You can do it.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
the thing is, it's your neighbor's fire or your relative's fire, and your being there isn't helping anything.
It's not only fires, it's accidents.
Accidents. Okay.
Accidents.
Yeah.
And also at a fire, once we arrive on the scene, even the owner doesn't have much right to go in the building anymore. We keep everyone back, even
Okay.
owners and everything.
Okay.
They have no right to go in there once a fire is
Okay.
going.
It's in the back of the building, and the owner's running into the front. No fire there yet to take furniture out. You let him do that?
No.
You're not supposed to, huh? So that it would be silly for me as a spectator to offer to help.
Yeah. At some point, if it's not a real bad one, we send firemen in to do it. When they have the gear on and they're suited up in order to go into a fire with smoke, we'll do that for them. But if it's where it's out of control, we will not let anyone go in there.
Have either of you ever been to a fire where you've had a person in the fire had to go out and get in there and get them? Have you had that unfortunate situation here? We had to go in and
No.
you haven't had it. Thank God.
We've had casualties.
Yeah, but you had no chance.
No chance.
That's right.
No chance.
That's right.
I think I've been to, between the mutual aid and whatever, about 14 different people that I've seen
Is that right? Wow.
are casualties.
Wow. Wow. These are your friends and your neighbors that you work with, you play cards with, you play ball with, somebody that follows you, tailgates you too close when you're driving up the road and you may curse under your breath. They're firemen. They're just like everybody else. They're just normal people, except they put in a lot of hours for you and for me. And there's two things you can do. Follow what they tell you, follow the laws of keeping away when there's a fire, and when there's something going on that you can help the firemen, be a donation, when they're selling calendars or picking up money for anything, or coming to one of their benefit dinners or breakfasts, would behoove you to help out, because whatever they buy, they're going to use to help you. Do you have the Jaws of Life?
No.
You don't have a Jaws of Life.
No.
Do you need one?
We could use it,
That-
but
Champlain has one.
Yes.
Rouse's Point has
we
one.
They're-
we donated.
They're-
Oh, okay.
It's
They're
a
different
lot of
group.
money, and
Different group.
We
That's right.
donated money to Champlain.
Okay.
they're only minutes away. from
All right.
you.
All right. Anything else that we should talk
Well-
about the fire department?
I don't know. Since I've been president here, we've started a new program here at the fire department. It's called Junior Firemanship, and we're taking in young firemen from 16 to 18 on a trial basis into the department to get them used to it. And I think there's a problem through most of the fire departments in the county where people don't want to donate their time anymore. So we're going to try to start at the young people and see if they like it.
Can they go to a fire?
Yes, but they have to stay behind the line and watch.
All right. What kind of fire protection, insurance protection do you have, if any, for the firemen?
Compensation.
Compensation?
Yes,
You pay for that out of your, get to be quite expensive.
the
Pardon?
town, yeah,
Huh?
the town pays for that.
Town pays for that.
Yeah, that's a big. We just had a budget meeting, and that is a big factor.
If you saw today's paper, they were talking about the Gallo family here on the Valley Road, and what it costs to have compensation for farmers that work, and if you the same thing for firemen. You got 45 people, it's got to be pretty expensive,
Right.
you know?
Oh, yeah, very expensive.
Okay. Have you had many accidents to firemen as such over the years?
No,
Then
not too many over the years.
Minor, a few minor.
Yeah. That I could.
Nail in the foot, and
Yeah,
sprained
that-
ankle,
yeah.
and cut
Cut glass.
hand, and
Yeah. You can devote that to two things. Either they're very careful and they're well trained, right? That's what you train for. That you don't have accidents.
You're trained for it.
You do.
Right.
All right. Anything else? Now, how would somebody who's 16 to 17 get in with you?
Well, you contact the president or the chief, and ask them for an application. Fill out an application, and we'll review it at the standings committee.
He or she?
He or she.
He or she. Yes.
Yes, we have male and female in this department.
Right. You have many female in the fire department?
3 to 4.
Two.
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 Two. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the best workers of the whole bunch.
They're good workers.
Can't go that far.
Politicians. See? Putting them right on the spot here. You're watching Hometown Cable. Our program is called What's Going On Here every Sunday. I'm Bob Venn. Calvin Castine with the camera. Jeff Menard on my left right here. And this is Rainey Rabideau. He's been in the department for 44 years. One of the oldest men in the town of Mooers. Because we've referred a couple times to another group here called the EMTs, I guess, the rescue squad. A very, very important factor in any fire department, particularly up here when we're as far as we are from the hospital. We're talking here 25 to 27 miles, and someone's got to keep you going until you get that 27 miles. And as Dr. Southwick mentioned at the Champlain Fire Department, these EMTs and these rescue squads can do things that he can't do in his own office. They've got that kind of equipment. And 4 of them are right here at the table, and they're going to tell us who we are, starting right over here with Mrs. Sample. What's your name?
Scarlett.
Scarlett Sample. And
Lola Miller.
Lola Miller.
Gail Bajelko.
Say that. Wait, get that last name again.
Bajelko.
Spell that for me.
Bjelko.
Okay, Bajelko. And?
John Bajelko.
Okay, John. Well, I guess we're finished, you and I. You got your husband here with you. Well, you don't trust anybody, do you? All right.
Not even an EMT.
you came to what? All right.
No, even you.
Okay, now we may as well start off. They've had chiefs and they've had a president both in the fire department. What's your titles in the EMT or the rescue squad?
Well, we don't have as many officers as they have in the fire
Okay.
department. Basically, we consist of the captain, the assistant captain, secretary, treasurer, public relations officer, and we also have a lieutenant.
So the captain runs the organization, is that correct?
That's correct.
Meeting-wise as well as operational-wise?
That's correct.
Okay. Who's the captain?
I am.
You are the captain, all right. And how long have you been captain?
I've been captain for about 4 years.
Okay, now, I lived in Mooers at one time, and there weren't very many Bajelkos in this area. Now, are you new to the area?
No, I'm an old-time resident. of
You're an
this area.
old-timer, but this gentleman here is, where are you from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. What brought you to Mooers, New York? Except your wife.
Just
I'm
like
what's
the-
keeping him here.
Were you at the Air Force Base or something?
No, we used to vacation here and
Uh-huh.
just bought a place here.
Okay, very good. And Miller, that's got to be a name from this area for sure.
Well, actually, my husband's from Chicago, though.
Your-
And
your-
I'm from here,
Okay, your maiden name?
Mesec.
Mesec. And Mr. Sample, what was your maiden name? King.
King.
Right here, too. All right, so we got local people, and you said you've been in 4 years.
I've been captain for 4 years,
Captain for 4 years. How long in the group?
11 years,
And how many do you have in the organization? How many in the rescue squad?
11.
11.
11 EMTs, but the firemen are all considered members, but they're not.
Okay.
They can drive the ambulance or help
Okay.
out on the scene, that type of thing.
Okay, you have 11 members, and they're all EMTs?
That's correct.
Is there what's the definition of an EMT?
Well, an EMT is an emergency medical technician, which requires a lot of training, both at the hospital and, well, right now it's run by Mountain Lakes EMS. So all EMTs have to take courses. Every 3 years they have to refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And their original course goes September through December, 2 nights a week.
Wow. So do you have any people who are working toward becoming an EMT in the organization?
We have one member who recently took the first responder test and is waiting for his results, and then we have one brand new EMT who just got her results. All the others have been EMTs for several years.
Is that person who took the time, is that one of the 11?
Yes.
So he's not really an EMT yet?
No, he's a
Okay.
first responder,
All right. Okay.
or hoping to be a first
Okay.
responder.
What does that mean, a first responder? He can go?
He can go to the scene, and they're taught certain parts of the EMT course that are life-saving maneuvers. Things like CPR, oxygen therapy, patient assessment, those types of things. If they're the first one on the scene, they can save the patient until the EMTs arrive.
Mhm. Are you a nurse by profession or anything?
Yes.
Ah, all right. They aren't all nurses by profession?
No.
Okay. Are you a nurse by profession?
No.
What got you interested in EMT?
I'm not really sure. It happened a long time ago. I've been an EMT now for almost 8 years.
Anyone in your family ever used the EMT and got such a benefit? You thought that
No, I
something
had
you wanted to
brothers
do?
that were in the fire department, and then I just kind of evolved into wanting to volunteer and do something.
A lot of hours at this? Huh?
A lot of hours. A lot of hours in training.
When you get a call and said, do you look forward to that call when you're leaving, or you say, gosh, I don't feel like it tonight?
It really all depends on the call.
I mean, there's a lot of calls. I think he said 100 and some odd calls.
We had
We had
226
226 last year.
Now,
Yeah.
just think of 226 calls in 365 days, and you get an idea what 11 people are doing.
And-
And how many does it take normally on the ambulance?
Well, you have to have at least one in order to roll the ambulance.
Plus the driver. I mean,
Plus the driver, right.
because he's not an EMT, but he drives.
Right.
How many other drivers do you have? Don't need any with Rainey. He's always there.
That's correct.
There's 4?
Routine drivers, there's probably about 4, yes.
Mhm.
But in a
If we get
pinch,
in a
any
pinch,
fireman, will
Could
drive
do it,
for
yeah.
us, could drive
Okay.
for us. But those 226 calls are all EMS-related calls, either to a structure fire or some type of medical emergency or an accident or some type of thing.
One of the problems I've heard, that some of the calls they call an ambulance for an EMT are not necessarily calls that you should be there.
That's correct.
And they want to ride to the hospital or something. Now, that's to be frowned on, obviously. Do you get much of that?
We get our fair share of that. I think every community has a lot of those type of calls. We tend to get the same people abuse the system most of the time. A lot of times we have real medical emergencies and real accidents and
Mhm.
that type of thing, but we do get our fair share of those people who abuse the
Yeah,
system.
you can't just say no because it might be really be an emergency. Yeah?
Right. A lot of times it's not for us to say whether or not it's an emergency. If that patient is complaining of chest pain, we can't decide whether or not it's heart related or muscle related or what we need to treat, what the patient is complaining about.
Well, if it's something as minor as the sprained ankle, then we can advise them to go down in their own personal vehicle, and that's inadvisable for us to take the ambulance out of service.
It costs a lot of dollars to take that ambulance out. Even though you don't spend it all, there's a lot of...
If there's a real, true medical
You're
emergency.
gone, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's not
The average
fair to
call
rest of the
is-
community.
Is an hour and a half to 2 hours that
Right,
ambulance is
yeah.
out of this community.
I guess if you're a dragoon, you know whenever there's a fire or an emergency because he's got 2 or 3 fire department people over there and he's got Scarlet. So there's always one of you gone to something with that many units, huh?
Some of the time, yes.
So how long have you been in on this, Scarlet?
Since we started.
Since you started? You make many trips down to Plattsburgh?
Enough.
Has it helped you in your personal life to have this training? I would think it would help anybody.
That's basically where I started from.
Oh,
I
sure.
wanted for my family.
Sure. You can do a lot of things. Yeah.
I think you're more comfortable with your children, with
Mhm.
innocent around. If people learn the basics, then you're comfortable. If you get a cut, if you fall or something, you kind of know what to do, and you don't panic as much.
I could do a little bit of a lot of things, but when it comes to medical, I'm absolutely worthless. I mean, I'm better not to even be there. I don't have the right feeling for it. My usual question would be, why did you do this? I mean, why were you climbing to fall and break your arm instead of thinking, I better work on your arm? I'm there to criticize you for breaking my arm. It's true. I'm guilty of that. And it's so are you really? You're not an EMT?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you are an EMT. Calvin Castine, you got me all shook up. Now, except for wanting to be in this, because there's a lot of women in this, why? That's great, I think. Are there many men in the EMT division?
Yeah, it's about 50-50.
Is
I
it?
would say.
Yeah. Did you had any training in this before, prior to this? Any of your
No.
background?
No. I joined the fire department, and being with the fire department, I became interested in the
Uh-huh.
rescue squad.
So what can you do? Do you each specialize in any one thing? Or several of you better on one thing than the other? Well, you can lift higher, maybe more than some women can, but
Well, they have different levels of EMTs.
what does that mean?
Well, I'm a basic EMT. I can't do anything with drugs or anything.
Okay.
Where Gail and Will are advanced EMTs.
So you can give a shot to somebody
Yes.
under direction of a doctor on the radio or on the phone?
Right. There, like John said, there are different levels of EMTs. There are basic EMTs, intermediate level EMTs that are allowed to start IVs and intubate somebody, put a tube down their mouth so that they can
Wow.
breathe.
Yeah.
And then there are critical care technicians, which myself, Lola, and Lola's husband Tim are all critical care technicians. And we can give IV medication, start the IV, intubate the patient, defibrillate the patient. We can actually run a whole code scene right at the patient's house. If the patient's not breathing and doesn't have a pulse, we can do everything they would do at the hospital right at the patient's home.
All right. I had occasion where some neighbors, I looked out the window and there's the rescue squad just driving in. And 20 minutes later, they're still there. I said, well, either the person died or they don't have to be there. Why aren't they on the road on the way to Plattsburgh? And you don't necessarily hurry, do you?
Right.
Explain that. Somebody want to explain that to me. I don't mean to leave you out.
that's
You want to
right.
go ahead and explain a little bit about it to me?
Well,
Go ahead.
basically, we have the capability of doing everything, like Gail said, that the doctors would do in the hospital, and we're basically what the doctors consider us is an extension of their arm, and they train with us and we train with them, so they get to know us. The physicians at the hospital get to know us, get to know what our good skills are, what our bad skills are, and basically, if we can administer the cardiac drugs and the defibrillation or the shocks to the heart as soon as possible, the ability to resuscitate somebody is increased. If we, it depends on the situation. If you have a very young person, you want to try and do the immediate things that we normally would do on the scene and then go to the hospital as quick as possible. If it's an older person or a different kind of situation, where you would rather work the code in the house. And the doctor calls the shots too. The doctor will say, okay, you should roll now if you decide to start it in the house. Or he'll say, we can actually stop the code in the house. We can terminate resuscitating
So are you,
in the house.
is it fair to say you're stabilizing or something before you get going?
We're stabilizing, and we're also trying to do as much as we can for the patient as soon as we can.
And if you know as little about it as I do, you shouldn't be looking out the window and wondering why they're doing that, because none of our business. They know what they're doing. You know what you're doing.
There are a lot of things that affect
course.
your on-scene
Yeah.
time. I mean, even such things as trying to get the patient out the door could increase your on-scene time or double your on-scene time.
Okay.
And if you have a very narrow stairway and you have a 250-pound patient that's unconscious on the second floor, you have to wait for manpower to get there because you don't want to hurt the
Need help
patient.
getting
Yeah,
getting
because when you're
down,
coming out, that
right.
stretch is going to be like this. That's kind of tough.
And you don't want to hurt any of your helpers.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
you have to kind of step back and take a breath and say, okay, we got to do this, and this is the way we're going to
Okay.
do it.
That's exactly what we're going to do. Step back, take a breath, and take a break. We'll be right back. I didn't ask who the newest member was here of the EMT in yourselves, the four of you.
The new member?
the newest you
member,
are?
John.
John.
All right, John, how long have you been in?
About 3 years.
3 years. You must have, you got a memory? What happened when you first came in? You say you want to join the unit.
Yeah.
Do you have to be accepted
Yes, you do.
by the group?
You have to fill out an application and you go for an interview in front of the officers
The officers of the EMT,
of the rescue squad.
of rescue squad, all right?
And they let you know after their meeting.
I would have thought that the captain must have put in a good word for you, or you got in. That must be. Did you put in a good word for that man?
Well, yes.
You said here's my one night out. He's going to be with me again, right?
Well, no, actually, we weren't even dating at the
Oh, you
time.
weren't?
That's
Oh, all
how
right.
we met, was
Okay.
he joined the rescue squad.
All right. So what happened after you were accepted? What's the first thing you had to do to become an EMT, except get in the squad?
Well, you start going to classes.
And where are those?
When I took it, they were at Clinton Community College.
Okay.
Now they're run by Mountain Lakes EMS.
You pay for that?
No, at the time the rescue squad paid for it.
You pay for your own trip down.
Yes.
Okay. So you can volunteer your time for nothing later. It's the kind of people you got in this squad, and of course a lot of volunteers are like this and other things, but in this particular, okay. Did you know much about health?
No, I didn't know anything.
Didn't know anything, huh? Were you scared at first?
I was particularly scary when it was time to take the test.
Yeah.
Well, he was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to handle the trauma part of it,
I'm
that
sure.
seeing blood.
I think I know how he feels. Absolutely.
But once you get on the scenes, your adrenaline's going so much that it doesn't bother you like it normally would.
But you still know, I know you treat him like a person. Does it seem that it's not? I'm going to say this wrong. I know it no matter
It's
what.
always harder when it's somebody that you know.
All right, that's
Which
what I
makes it
want to
easy.
say, I
Yeah.
guess. If it's a stranger, it's a person, right? It's a name, not a name. All right, but if it's someone you know, it is much
It's
harder.
always harder.
Harder, yeah. So you took how many hours, you say?
We went 3 hours, 2 nights a week for 4 months, and every other Saturday.
There's a lot of devotion there.
That's
During
just
the,
for the basics.
okay, during this time, could you go in on the unit at all?
We could go out in the ambulance, but we couldn't do anything unless directed by an actual EMT.
Okay. Here's a guy like me looking out the window saying, well, how could that guy do the thing? Just standing there because you weren't supposed to. But
Right.
nobody would know that, you know. You're not going to say, I can't do anything, I'm new. They'd say, get away from me, I don't want anybody new, correct?
Right. We wish that all those people looking out the window at us their
help.
interest would go a little farther and they would join the rescue squad.
Okay. All right.
Because we're always looking for new members.
Yeah.
And especially in the daytime, Scarlett works across the road, and if she's not busy, Jack, allows her to come on the calls. But otherwise, there's myself and sometimes one other EMT during the daytime, and that's all we have for help.
Right. Are you ideally looking for someone, quote unquote, young or more mature?
It doesn't matter. We'll take them in any age group. You have to be at least 18 years of age to take the EMT program. But any age group on up. We recently had a couple of members that resigned who were in their 60s. and they'd been active members for several years. So it doesn't matter. If there's an interest, we can get you through the course and get you in to be an EMT.
But you never stop learning. Is that, you
Never.
say that, right? Scott? Scott, you get out on the rescue squad quite often, I guess. She's saying, you know.
Yeah, well,
Were you afraid of blood when you first started? Mothers usually aren't.
no, not really.
Not
so
really?
much blood, no. I always like another EMT along with me.
Mhm.
It's more, just a little moral support and
Right.
more comfortable.
But as you get into this more and more, though, you have better feelings about it.
Oh, yeah.
You have a lot of confidence in yourself, obviously.
Well, I hope
Huh?
I know what I'm doing.
Well, that's what I mean. But you know that so you're confident. You know. I can remember when we first did the first couple. I said, I don't know if I want to do this or not. I'm very comfortable now with most people because they're just nice people. That I just can't tell you what I'm going to ask you ahead of time because I don't know. All right.
That's true.
But so you get out quite often on these here. How far have you moved along?
I'm still basic.
You're still basic. Are you going to go higher than basic, or
I don't think so.
the reason you're still basic is you haven't put your effort out to it for whatever reason,
Yeah,
personal or
right now,
otherwise?
I just don't have the time.
Okay.
It's time and
It's a
effort.
time.
Okay, so you are still basic?
No, I'm a 600 critical care technician.
I don't know what that means.
That means that I can administer drugs via IV.
Okay, how far up, how many different levels is that above?
I'm just under a paramedic.
That's the highest level it gets. Lola is the high, and myself and Lola's husband are the highest level you can get.
I've got one on each side of me. I'm perfectly safe here in this interview, isn't it, right? Huh?
Except Rainey will be driving.
Thank you. Oh, I won't go. We'll do it right here. We'll do everything we have to do right here.
We probably couldn't lift you by ourselves, but other than that, we can handle any problem.
All right. She's related to Rainey. How many are there at your level, the two of you?
3 of us.
There's
in
3
the-
of
in
one
the
other
squad.
person.
Right, my husband.
Okay. Do you usually want one of those? You can't be always one of you there. It should be one of those.
Yeah,
We
it
like
depends
to
on the
always
call.
have one, but with there only being 3 of us and 226 calls last year,
yep.
it's hard to have one of us on every call.
Do you take turns, or do you?
No,
So you could all three of you be there at one time?
right.
That's a lucky patient. No.
Well, who takes charge? Who's
Well, it
it?
depends on who
It
it
depends
If you're
on
there,
the-
you're always in charge because you're captain.
Right. And then it
Even if
goes-
he's there, you're still in charge.
That's
But
correct.
are you in charge at home?
No.
John, by golly, you got to move along here. We really got to. Well, I'll tell you, it's nice. Honestly, it's nice, isn't it? Huh? All right. So let me go back here. You've completed within that first 6 months. You had passed your first level, and you've moved up from then.
No, I'm still a basic.
Now, why is that? And I don't mean to put you on the spot. Is there a reason for that?
Well, partially you have to have a certain amount of time in before you can advance.
All right. That's all right. Like a year or a year and a half? Is
You have to
that
have
a year.
a year? Okay.
And like Scarlett says, it is a lot of effort and a lot of time to advance.
There is. That's a lot more training.
A lot more
Yeah.
training, a lot of time after you've
The
gotten
next-
your level, you have to keep going to certain meetings,
Okay.
critiques, and
The next levels are more training than the original training.
Okay.
So you go for your basic EMT training goes September to December, 2 nights a week and every first Saturday. And then you're a basic EMT. Then you have to be a member of the department and an active EMT for a year before you can take an advanced EMT course.
And then what would that level be called?
That would be an intermediate.
Intermediate. And then there's the third level is where you are?
That's correct.
Okay, so there's not 6 or 7 of them or anything like that. Okay. He may know as much, quote unquote, as either one of you, but he can't do it because he's not qualified
That's correct.
by time and test. Is that all right?
He knows what the patient requires, what the patient really needs. So then if none of the critical care technicians are on the scene, he could, advise that we need an advanced EMT from some other department because he knows what the patient needs.
With all the training you had as a nurse, did you have to take as many hours as if you hadn't been a nurse?
Yes.
You had to do it over again, huh?
It's changed a little bit now. I took the EMT course 11 years ago. And so in the last 11 years it has changed where a nurse can challenge out part of the EMT course. She can take a test and challenge out of part of it. But when I took it 11 years ago, I had to take the same thing that the average person off the street was taking.
You know, over the years, I've had several sisters, good friends. One of the professions that most people want a good job for money. Most people work for money. Let's face it. Nurses, on the other hand, seem to want to be a nurse, not necessarily for money, but for the job itself, right?
That's right.
And I think more than most professions, I think that is it. And the money, they're very much in demand now. Nurses are very much in demand. And even with all the hours you put in that, you're still putting in for your people here. Did you ever think of becoming a nurse?
Yes, I did actually.
Did you want to be a nurse?
I thought about it just actually about a year and a half ago. A year ago.
Not originally.
No, not originally.
Okay. So,
And it was through being an EMT that I thought maybe I want to become a nurse. But then with the hospital cutbacks and all of the changes in the economy, I wasn't sure if it was worth
and you don't want to
investing.
leave the area because you can get jobs in a lot of areas, you know.
All right, but we just built a new home, so we don't want to leave the area.
Even without the home, you don't want to leave the area, do you?
No.
Ever think of becoming a nurse?
Now that I've been in this.
Yes.
It's
think it would have been-
Yeah, different aspects of looking at it. I did.
Yeah. Male nurse? You ever think of it? No. We have a couple of male nurses in Champlain, from Champlain, you know, and very good too. Very, very
And
good.
a lot of those nurses came from being EMTs
EMT,
first.
right? Exactly.
There's, I mean, not to change the subject, but other than making those 226 calls a year, we have a lot of other responsibilities. The main one that we worked on this past year was getting a new ambulance.
All right. We'll talk about new ambulance. Maybe we'll take a short break and come back, and so we don't have to interrupt. We'd like to have you listen to this very important message once in a while, so we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and devote ourselves entirely to about the new ambulance and new members. We talked a little bit about new members. You're watching Hometown Cable. You know that, Channel 21. Cable 21, I should say. Calvin Vision, as they say in Ellenburg. I'm Bob Venn. Calvin Castane's got the camera. The program's called What's Going On Here? We've been on for about 4 or 5 years doing interviews like this. A lot of different types. We've done over 400. Meeting nice people. This is a Monday night. We haven't done many evenings because Calvin's usually busy on the evenings, but he's got a break. So we're up here on at Mooers Fire Department and Rescue Squad. Come back. I've been sitting here and I've been trying to remember to say Bajinko. I didn't say it right. I say it all that time. What I should have said was Gail LaFountain. That was the name, right?
That's right.
Okay, because they've been saying you better ask about Gail LaFountain. Gail LaFountain did something or got something equal to Mr. Rabidous a couple of years ago. What was that, Gail?
I got Clinton County EMS Provider of the Year.
Provider. Now, that's the first time I've heard you mention that. Provider. That's like the person who works, like
Right.
yourself. And that's
Provides
within the
service.
county. It's a big honor. I
Yes,
remember
it was-
reading it. I
it
remember
was a
reading
very
it.
big honor.
Very much so. Who was your dad and mom?
Albert and Gloria LaFountain.
Was Albert the Grand Knight?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Of course. Okay. I think I read that when you got the award, and I said, okay. And that was how long ago?
That was 3 years ago.
You know what that means when you get that? You know, usually it means that every ambulance call there is, you have to attend from then on, or they miss you. Did you know that?
Yes. I probably got that because I made about every ambulance call there was.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not exactly
Well, we
sure.
know that he's been married less than 4 years then, because she was LaFountain then, and she's not now.
Right.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know where to go. You go for the EMT Provider of the Year, huh?
But along with that award, I got a Clinton County Legislator Award on the same basis. I had to go in front of the legislature and receive an award from them.
That's right. Was
And
that-
then the following year, I got submitted for the New York State EMS Provider of the Year.
Wow, very
And
nice.
I didn't win the New York State Award, but I won the Mountain Lakes Regional Award.
You must know by now you don't have to win it. The big honor is being nominated
That's
for
correct.
something like that. Because certainly everybody that was nominated deserved to win it.
Right.
Any one of you. And it don't mean that anybody is second either. It just means that they have to pick somebody for whatever reason, politics or whatever, who knows. But it's a very big honor, I think.
It's a
Very, very
big
nice.
honor.
Who nominated you? Who the award? And was that John Zerlo put that into the county for you, or
Yes,
was
he
it that Sam Trombley?
No, it was
Be
Mr.
John
Zerlo.
Zerlo up there, huh?
Yes, yes.
Was he ever your teacher?
Yes, he was.
He was. He's an old man, you know.
Yeah,
He's
so-
been around a long, long time, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
We talked to John recently with the Clinton County Clerk, and he was mentioning it. He's even seeing third generations now that he's been teaching up there. You know, he's been nearly 40 years.
Not
around.
many generations have passed.
No, I know that. No. Well, that's very nice. It's a great honor for, within a year or two, you both had an award up here.
Yes, and we also had two other ambulance members, Mabel and Jerry Bourdon, who won New York State EMS providers.
From here?
From here.
Well, maybe...
They were our two older members in their 60s that I spoke about earlier, and we submitted them to win the award, and they won.
I'm awfully glad you didn't say old member. You said older.
Older.
Because I'm older than that 60. You got to be careful. You got to be very, very careful. One thing we didn't mention, and we should, we know you're captain. Who are the other 4 or 5 people that have a title?
Well, John is the assistant captain.
Okay.
Lola is the treasurer.
Okay.
Lola's husband is the lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Jock is public relations.
Mm-hmm.
And Sue Smith is the secretary.
Okay.
And those are the officers we have of the rescue squad.
And you vote every year on the officers? So even when you are no longer captain, it could still be in your household, most likely. They usually step up, right?
Yes, they probably will.
Okay. Then you'll continue to do the work. You'll have the title. It doesn't work that way all the time?
Well, I expect I'll be in it longer than he will.
You do?
Yes. More into the emergency medicine.
Okay,
than
so
he is.
so it's Gail LaFountain and Bajorko.
Bajelko.
Oh, but Bajelko. I'd have to have it in front of me. But the other word I can say very well, spelled with an L, is ambulance. We're talking about a new ambulance. Tell me about the new ambulance, Skylar.
Well, we've been taking fundraisers for the last 4 or 5 years, trying to get money for a new one. We've had 2 used ones, which have served us well, but we do need a new one. And we finally have gotten enough funds, and with the help of the town, we are going to be able to get a new one. Hopefully, I believe it's supposed to be coming in June, right?
Slated for the week of June 12th.
June 12th. Well, this is pretty well certain. How much money are we talking about?
The ambulance is about, $96,000.
Wow. It makes an expensive taxi if you don't really need a trip to Plattsburgh. Then is that completely furnished, or do you do more when you get here?
That's Bear.
That's a Bear. Oh my. That's good for how long? 8, 10 years?
Hope so.
Well, we'd like
Longer?
to renew it, get a new one every 10 years. But
Yeah.
like Scarlett said, we haven't had a new one yet.
So what you do really is start raising money for the next one right away, don't you? Really, you have to. You can't raise money that quick. Yeah.
No, we've been looking at
And
it
we
a lot.
probably wouldn't have a new one this year if it wasn't for the town. I mean, we've raised between $50,000 and $60,000 over the last 10 years. But that's not enough to buy a new ambulance.
You know, it's something when you have to raise the money to you can do a better job for the people that you are working with. It sounds a little bit like Hometown Cable. When Calvin asks for patrons, you know, he puts out a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's 9 o'clock and he's still out. He's been out since before 9 this morning. That's enough of that, but it just makes me think of that it doesn't run for nothing. You have to work. In addition to doing the work, you got to raise the money.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It is.
And we're few people to do it.
Huh? And a few people to do it, right? But so that's why when they're asking for money and they come around again, you'll never know. You only need it once, you know. You only need it one time to save your life or something. I can remember when my mother had a heart attack, and the first people there were the rescue staff. They were late. It was only 3-4 minutes, but it was too late. But they were there in like this. And a neighbor of mine, he was down. I called them. They were there in 2.5 minutes. They got him to Plattsburgh in time. I can't speak enough for not only Mooers, but for all these people that donate so many hours and have so many. They have these. They're having one here, the 17th. You're having a
brunch.
Now, who is that? That's the fire department or the?
Well, the
yours?
funds are to benefit the rescue squad. The fire department is a big help as far as cooking the food for
Oh, they're
us.
going to do the cooking.
They do the
Okay.
cooking and we do the serving most of the time.
Okay.
So,
And John will do both because he's a member of both, right?
that's right.
He's got to work.
I usually
both.
run back and forth.
You ever eat it? You eat too? Take time to eat?
Usually when it slows down, I try to get something to eat.
All right. The ambulance. Anything else you want to tell me about the ambulance? What color will it be or anything like that? What?
We're going to have a modern ambulance, so we decided to put a modern color on it.
Oh, it's going to be different then.
Yeah,
What?
the interior is going to be a light gray. And the exterior will be white with a green stripe, a dark green stripe.
Sounds like Shay Z with green.
Now, Shay Z is
No,
blue.
but Shay Z with, the green for the school.
Oh, yes.
The green of Shay Z, we are talking the maroon of Mooers and Champlain. You're going to have a green stripe.
It's going to be a green stripe.
You're going to say ambulance backwards on the front, too, so you can look at it in your... It is going to do that? Huh?
It has to by state law, I
Yeah.
believe.
Okay, now the first year, all three of you, your husband, yourself, and you, will all want to be on every trip to Plattsburgh.
I don't know
I don't
about
think
that.
You don't know about that?
We'll all want to be
After-
on the first one in the
All
new
right.
ambulance, that's
After
for
you
sure.
work an 8-hour day and then you go home and you start relaxing and then you end up spending 2-3 hours on
Yes.
the ambulance call and then you get 3 hours of sleep
And
and
back
you
to
go
work.
back to work the
Yeah.
following day. Sometimes you
Okay.
just want to take a break.
All right, let's play a little devil's advocate here. The phone rings, and you've been called to a house that they said that my father is down. All right, he's down. You're going to rush as soon as possible to get there. What should the people at the house do when you arrive, so that they're not in your way or whatever? What would you advocate people to do when you arrive at the scene?
Well, the best thing that the bystanders can do is assist us with getting the patient's medications, tell us their past medical problems.
The medication they're taking, have a list of it and so forth?
Yes.
Okay, that's very important.
Yes. Their doctor's name, a list of their health problems, if they've had trouble with their heart, lungs, kidneys, diabetes, high blood pressure, anything like that, it's helpful to know. And then we need to know what their current problem is. A lot of times the patient isn't able to tell us their problems, so we need to rely on the bystanders and the family members to tell us what happened.
Mm-hmm. And you don't need any coaching while you're there. You know exactly what to do.
Right. A lot of times, especially in the daytime, if there's just myself and maybe Rainey is my driver, then he can get a lot of that information. Well, I'll go take care of the patient, get their vital signs right away, get their blood pressure and their pulse, and he's asking the family member for a list of medicines and what kind of problems does the patient have, that
Okay.
type of thing.
You know, they've asked me sometime what I go down for to get some x-rays taken at the hospital. They say, you taking any medication? I say, yes. They say, what are you taking? I don't know what I'm taking. I go to the little bottles and I take them out. I really don't care the name of it. But I should have that written down somewhere in the house, shouldn't I?
Yes,
It's a good, I'm going to do it when I get home tonight or tomorrow, and I think you should do the same. Make a list of the things you're taking, and maybe about if you know how long you've been taking them, et cetera, right? And,
Right.
and the times you usually take them, that would be things you'd want to know.
Right.
Okay?
And what you take them for.
What you
Like
take-
myself as a nurse, I know most of the patient's medications and what
Okay.
they're for. But the average person who becomes an EMT may not know what your medication is and what you're taking it for. So if you have an idea what you're taking your medication for, that can be very helpful to us as well.
Okay. See, these are things that we don't know. Anything else you can add to that?
Well, when you call an ambulance, the new 911 system's in, so the dispatcher will ask you questions, and I believe now it's enhanced, so they will assist you in medical needs, you know, on the phone, as far as what to do to help the patient. But another big help is turn a porch light on if it's at night. Have somebody, if there's an extra person, kind of flagging us down by the road. I mean, a lot of us are local and we know the areas,
Okay,
but
yep.
I mean, I'll get lost on a
Yep.
road and not know. The new 911 numbers are new to everybody, so if we're on the North Star Road, it's a very long road. What end of the North Star Road it's on. Different things like that that help us to find the location. You know, us getting there quickly is, you know, helps out if somebody else is out there flagging us down.
Doesn't that sound simple? It's very simple, but you got to do it. And if
And post your 911 number.
Okay,
That
and-
helps
and-
a lot.
and
If
if,
you don't have
uh,
your numbers out there, we really have a hard time.
it takes
finding
someone who misses it to remind us that they want to know these things. Tell them the color of the house. If you get to this crossroad, you've gone too far, or whatever. So if you
Right,
got,
well, we're on the radio normally with
Okay,
the
yeah.
dispatcher
And
and getting different
put
directions.
the light on.
But it
Yep.
helps, I mean, the light on, having somebody out there.
Okay.
You know, it saves us that time to slow down and look
Okay.
at the number if we see somebody going like this.
Okay, what could a person expect in time? I call 911 for my father being down. Could I expect somebody in 15 minutes if I'm 3 miles out of town?
15 minutes is a reasonable amount of time. Again, how long it takes depends on what time of the day it is.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
the middle of the night, when you're talking that people need to get up out of bed and get to the fire station, get in the ambulance, and get to your house, it could take a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
In the daytime, it seems to take longer just to round up a crew
Okay.
to go.
Now, you mentioned they'll stay on the phone with me.
Right.
But
Just-
I hope that they've already dispatched.
They do.
I mean, they're still talking. I mean, you're.
Normally, they have two dispatchers.
Okay.
That's one is talking to you, the other
Okay.
one's dispatching.
And then whatever I'm telling that person can be conveyed along the way 10 minutes
It's an
later?
open mic.
It's an open mic.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. These are things that you may not have known. We came here, of course, we want to hit most of the fire departments over the period of a year. Calvin's a busy person. I have more time than he does, for sure. One of the big things we wanted to mention here was the rescue squad, and they were having two things. Number one was the joy they have of their new fire ambulance, and maybe I hope you people out there who have contributed will come to see this ambulance after you're here. You'll have some kind of a showing of it, maybe, huh?
Oh,
It'd be
I'm
nice,
sure we
right?
will.
You sure you'd be very proud of it? Number one?
We're trying to get it moved up. I've been trying to contact the person who I've been dealing with about the ambulance to get it moved up to the first week of June in hopes that maybe we can have it in the St. Anne's Parade.
Okay, good point.
Which
Yes,
would be good
yes, yes.
publicity for us and
Right.
for the town, and show the people what their donations have.
That's awfully
have
close to the
gotten.
first, isn't it, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the week after ours, and ours is the 25th or 6th, so it's got to be the 2nd or 3rd of.
Right.
And the other thing is EMT. They never have enough, it seems, that you can always use more EMTs. You don't have to go all the way up to what these people are doing, the 3rd level, but you can be just as much help if you only go to the 1st level.
Right, that's correct.
Because as long as one of the 3 of you are on the ambulance or the rescue vehicle, you need 2 or 3 of the others that can.
Right. And we can't do our advanced part until the basics are done.
Okay.
We don't start an IV till the patient is on oxygen and we have all the other things in place. So
Okay.
you really need the basic EMTs to enhance what we can do for the patient.
Okay. Male or female, correct?
Correct? Mm-hmm.
18 and above,
That's right.
all right. Even if you got a job during the daytime and you can't make all hours, they aren't going to give you points. You don't expect to make the number of calls that Rainey's doing, or they are. But you can make a few calls, 30, 40, 50, whatever. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I think there's a lot of enjoyment to it. And don't let the number of hours that these people have put in scare you off. Have you enjoyed it, John?
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Even if your wife wasn't on it, you.
That's how she became my wife.
Yes, I realize. Oh, now there you go. Well, some of them are taken, but on the other hand,
That's how I married my husband.
is that right? Well, you certainly know where.
It goes that way.
But I guess you have to be 3rd level, though. You didn't meet your husband here. You're only 1st level.
I'm only first level, right?
I wish I knew more of what I was talking about, but I've learned a lot tonight myself. Is there anything else we should cover relative to the ambulance or getting more members? Anything that you could tell people out there?
I invite everybody to come to our brunch on Sunday, March 17th. We're going to have it from 8 to 12 o'clock. We're going to have scrambled eggs, hams, French toast,
Pancake.
pancakes,
Sausage.
sausage.
It's $5?
$6.
$6?
Adults and 5 to 12, $3.
Okay, and below
under
that,
5,
under 5, it's free.
And it's all you can eat.
Yep. But anybody under 5 has to be with somebody else. Can't come by yourself.
Right.
Watch there's a screen on Hometown Cable Calvin has put up there for one of these nonprofit groups, and it mentions the whole thing. There's one the 17th, which has gone by. No, it isn't. I'm sorry, the 2nd of. Well, by the way, there's one this coming week here at Ellenburg for another group. But watch these screens and patronize these. It's not they just don't want you to come and eat. They love to have you come and eat. They also like to get your money. Let's be honest. But you're helping out without getting a straight donation. You're getting more than your money's worth, and they can use the money. They can use the money, and it shows you get a chance to see the equipment. You get a chance to thank them for all the hours they're putting in. Nobody deserves your help more. Nobody than the fire department and all the people from all the wings of it. The fire department, the rescue squad, the auxiliary, and all of those. Make sure that you and pass the word around to your friends and neighbors. I don't know what they raise money. They're going to start raising it again for 10 years. Maybe you won't be here, but your offspring will, and you'll want to help out again. And when you come to see, you'll see why it costs so much. They're very expensive. You'll have well over 100,000 in that by the time you furnish it. You've got all the furnishings?
Yes, we
What
have, we'll take all the equipment out of our current ambulance and put it in a new one, but there's a lot of equipment that we need to upgrade.
Okay.
We have some older equipment.
Mhm.
We're looking forward to, in the next couple of years, hopefully buying a LifePak 10, which is a defibrillator that will shock a patient, and it also has a pacemaker hooked up to it. So we'd hope to upgrade to that in the next couple of years.
Do you take a vote as to whether Rainey will be able to drive this new unit or not? You going to let him drive the new unit? He's been pretty good in the old one, you know.
Well,
Huh?
we could tell you a few instances.
We pick on Rainey because Rainey's a good guy. You only make jokes, I'm going to tell you right now, and kid with people that you love. Otherwise, you don't do it. And he's one of the guys that most people love in this area. He's earned his badges along the way. He's earned his space. Anything else, John? Anything that we haven't heard from you very much, but I know who speaks in your family anyway. Anything else, John, that would you suggest people, let's say the male part, to get into this? Think they'll like it?
It's a lot of fun. It's time consuming, but it's a lot of fun.
I'm not very good. I don't know how good I would be at it, but I'm a little bit different on that. We'll take a short break, then we're going to come back and say goodbye to everybody, including you. We've talked to the squad on the inside, the rescue squad. Now we've come outside, and we're going to talk a little bit about. You're going to see the rescue squad, rescue ambulance they have, plus some of the other equipment. The one that show us that is
Larry Dumas.
Larry Dumas,
First Assistant Chief.
First Assistant Chief under the Chief. Now that's not like a President and Secretary. I'm all confused with two different groups of people here. Why are you doing it for me, Larry? Why?
Well, I guess Wayne talked to you a little bit before about the safety part of the fireman's deals. And, he's good at it, and we're, I guess, just trying to spread it around.
Okay, all right. No, but I mean, are you more the equipment than he is? Do you work on equipment more?
No. He's
How long have you been a fireman?
about 16 years.
All here at Mooers?
Yeah.
Ever been any fireman anywhere else?
Nope.
All right.
No.
And are you one of those active guys that make all these calls too?
Well, I work in Blasburg, so
you don't get the day ones, do you?
No.
Huh? You don't get the day. You know, that's one of the things we talked about. There's so many people in Mooers that don't have jobs here that in the daytime it must be a little tougher. You know, you can't plan your fires, of course, or your other things. Do you drive the ambulance at all too?
Once in a while.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's this other gentleman going to talk to us here too? Your name?
Chris Bowers.
Chris Bulriss. How do you spell Bulriss?
B-U-L-R-I-S-S.
There's a lot of ways to spell Bulriss, isn't there, huh?
a few, yeah.
Some only want one S on the end?
Yep.
Yep. You're a native of Mooers?
Yep.
How long a fireman?
9 years.
9 years, all right. And you have a title? Are you any officer? Have you ever been?
Second Assistant Chief.
You're second assistant chief. So it's most likely you would move up to first assistant chief as he goes up. That's what usually happens? That usually
likely, yeah.
is a step-up deal? So they're
Depends how rough they are.
unless you get someone like Rainey Rabideau, you may never move up. He was chief for 11 years, huh?
Long time.
The assistant saying, "Gosh, he was a good one, huh?"
Yeah, he was
a lot of devotion here. You good person to emulate.
Yeah.
All right. Do you drive, or do you drive the units too?
Yep.
So you have to qualify to drive one of the units. Is that right?
Yeah.
Just anybody just can't come and drive.
You should know how to run the pump. We stress that if you can't run the pump, you shouldn't be driving the truck.
Okay. Do you work in the community?
Yeah, we're across the street.
You're one of those. Yes, right across. So Jack, you're most of the fires then. You could be.
Yeah, I try to be.
Right, okay. All right, so what can you tell me now? What this unit? Right? Don't see many of these in the areas. What is this for?
Oh, this is our grass fire truck and brush truck, and for woods, anything that where you need a four-wheel drive to get off the road.
Okay.
This is a '91 Chevy four-wheel drive. It's got a 20-horse portable motor on it.
So does this come off there, or do you leave it right up there?
Stays right on there.
Stays right off?
It's all electric reel, put it back on.
So you take a hose and you put it in some kind of liquid, and then in a pond or something? Is that
No.
You don't have a- oh, you have a
got water
tank?
right here, yeah, there's
Oh, you
200,
have
200
got-
gallons right
There
here.
is 200 gallons.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough to put out the normal
Yeah,
small fire?
well, yeah,
You
it'll
know,
go a long ways.
grass
We
fire or
got a-
whatever?
We got a small, it's a high pressure, low volume nozzle on there, and it'll get right in and really dig into the grass or under the stones and under the wood.
All right, let's take about a minute or so and tell me about grass fires. What should people do? They should be a little more careful. We try to burn grass maybe along the road, and it's dangerous, right?
Yeah, should be a lot more careful. It's grass fires a lot of times start from garbage barrels, or they think they can burn a little bit, and it really gets away from them. And
Do you ever go out and burn grass as a department for anybody?
we have.
You have?
We have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sound like you don't really look forward to it.
Well, if it.
You don't want me to advertise for you?
It's not good policy, but
Okay.
if it got away from us, then we'd be in trouble. you
Okay.
know?
Do you fill swimming pools?
Nope.
You don't do that here.
No.
Some fire departments, will get water and put them in the pool, and they make a donation to the department. You don't do that here. Okay.
We did for a while, but it got to be the big trucks backing in on and tearing up their lawns and stuff. It wasn't worth it.
Okay. Plus, every time you get these units out, you got to come back in and clean them, huh?
Yep.
You bet you it's a lot of work. All right.
Yeah.
So then, so this makes. Do you go to bring this to a normal fire? Just to have another vehicle there?
If we go to an automobile accident and we need traffic control or something to block off the road, we'll use this for. You got the radio, you got the lights, you got heat if you're blocking off the end of a road, and it works good as for a piece of equipment like that.
Okay. And this is your tanker?
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. We talked about 5,000 gallons.
5,000 gallons.
A tanker, and that's full of. Do you mix anything with the water?
Not in this truck.
Not, but some trucks you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is plain water. February '89. Why is that there? Is that when you got the truck or the tank?
This is when we originally built this truck here. We had it under another cabin chassis. Maybe Chris will tell you more about it.
Okay, Chris, you know something about that?
That's when we originally built this truck, was in February '89. This used to be a Air Force refueler on the flight line, this tank,
Yes.
out of Air Base in Plattsburgh. So we took it was given to us, or it was somehow it was exchanged to us. We took the bottom chassis off, and we had bought another truck from a dealer in Malone. We stuck the tank onto it. And then,
Who's we?
uh,
You did that right here?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you built this on here yourselves?
Yeah, it was yellow, an ugly yellow, like the color of the stripe on the floor.
Uh-huh.
And we sanded it all down, and we painted it in the first bay. We strung up some plastic
Yeah.
there, and we worked till 3 o'clock one morning painting it.
Trying to save money, as you say, they have to raise a lot of their own money. So when you can do that, you're saving money. When you don't spend it, you don't have to get quite so much.
We just redid this one again this summer. We put another chassis on it with more horsepower and heavier axles.
One thing I want to mention, we mentioned parades here on Labor Day and other places. Mooers over the years, has been very good, even a small group, to go to parades. And you've always been pretty well represented. You've won your share of trophies.
Yeah, we try.
As I recall, I remember people do very well. And you used to have some marchers more than the average fire department, too.
Rough. Not many people do
Not
that
many people
anymore.
want to do it anymore,
The
huh?
hot sun. And,
Yeah, yeah.
We got another
We
project.
got to practice a little bit.
Okay.
We're putting a pump on this truck.
Now, you mean there isn't a pump on it now?
Now, right now, all we can do is dump water into a portable pond. If you would hook a hard
Oh,
piston
so
and
this is
your
nothing more than a big milk can, and you bring it and you tip it into your, we talked about, like a pool or a
portable pond.
portable pond. All right.
So this is going to be a PTO pump. We're going to mount it underneath the truck, and then the truck already had a PTO on it. Then we'll be able to pump off with a hose.
Power takeoff, PTO. All right. Now, does that mean you're going to pump at the fire, or you're going to pump it into the auxiliary
We
tank?
can pump right directly into this truck, or we could, if we had to, fight fire with it, like putting nozzles on, reducing it down.
Well, if you pump from this one to this one, by the time this one's empty, that's going to be empty too, nearly.
No, yeah, you're right. But at small fires, we won't have to set up. Say like we get a small trailer fire or something, we won't have to set up the portable pond. We'll have enough water in this truck
I
to put the trailer
understand.
out.
Okay. Now, you have another tanker besides this one that you can come get water with?
Yeah, we got a smaller tanker on the other side. We use
Okay.
it.
You know, you come, sometimes they talk about 5,000 gallons and sounds like a lot, but this is what it is right here in volume. You can see it. Now, this is a crazy question, and I don't know if you're going to be able to answer. On a normal fire, average fire, how many thousand gallons of water would you pump? Any idea? Is that a bad question?
Depends on the size of the fire.
I realize. I know it's
A lot of times we call in more trucks than we need, where we'll only use the water out of this truck to put the fire out. But if it's a barn fire or something, you'll use 5 trucks, probably they'll fill up 4 or 5 times.
Okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was. So you could put a fire out with this much, a good
yeah,
going,
we've
a
had
fire
one.
going right along, you can still put it out with this.
Well, this
Okay.
one holds 1,000 gallons also.
Now, as well as the amount of water, it's knowing where to put it and putting it in the right places to be effective, right?
That helps a lot. Yeah, that helps
Yes.
a lot.
All right. So is this a brand new unit you bought?
Yeah, the firemen bought that themselves.
Uh-huh.
It just came in today.
And you'll mount it under here, you say?
Yeah, we're gonna make a bracket and mount it and plumb it in.
And now, where will the power come to run this from?
Shaft.
Oh, the
This
power
end.
takeoff.
And this is an older one we had off an old fire truck.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna take parts off it and make it work.
Okay, now power takeoff is where? Is it back here someplace?
Yeah, it's on the transmission. of the
Okay.
truck.
What is this? You don't tell me what is this for?
That's for the air. So the truck is built up with air for the air brakes.
Oh, that's it nothing to do with the tank.
Yeah.
Right. How long does it take to fill up a tank like this if it were empty, wherever you get your water?
If we had you had a pumper filling, it takes about 8 minutes. That's what two and a half filling in the front and rear.
And you had the pumper down next to a river or somewhere, pumping into here. And you can do that in 8 minutes?
Yeah, that's the fastest we've ever seen
That's,
it.
that's quick, isn't it?
Yeah. If you take a small, like they call handy billy pumps, it
Okay.
takes about 20.
Okay, we'll take another short break here on Hometown Cable. Mooers Fire Department.